So welcome to VEM017 or comparative anatomy. So for starters, to make sure you students who are currently enrolled in this subject is hopefully have passing grades for VEM015, which is macroscopic or gross anatomy, because that's the prerequisite subject. Now, when we say comparative anatomy, this is a subject wherein you really have a good grasp of knowledge in your anatomy, because in comparative anatomy, we will be dealing with the anatomy of the different animals. So what sets us apart from physicians? Physicians only study one species, while veterinarians study more than just one species. So we will be finding out. Our objective is to learn the different and compare the different anatomical structures that may be present or absent in certain species of animals and what makes these animals quite unique. So key points. So as I've said, students enrolled in this subject have already passed VEM015, macroscopic anatomy, and should have the basic knowledge of anatomy in dogs. In this subject, we will be studying the different anatomical structures found or missing in different species of animals, starting with the horse, ruminants, camelids, pigs, cats, rabbits, chickens, avians actually, but our representative species for that are the chickens. We also have reptiles, fish, and wild animals. We call them for the miscellaneous species. So this subject has 5 units, 2 hours lecture per week, 6 hours of laboratory per week. So since because of the pandemic, we cannot see each other physically, but you can attend the class during anytime you want, as long as there is. However, when we go with our quizzes are going to be scheduled. I pre-filmed all my lectures because some of you might be working on the side. So just to make sure, and also our problem with the internet. That's our main problem, right? The internet. So since again, we're in the pandemic, and I think you have heard that we only have 2 periodic long quizzes and then you have an FE or the final exam. On my case, since I'm trying to be kinder right now, so we will divide so instead of having an FE, we will have a final period 3. So for period 1, this is the preliminary term examination or preliminary term. We have the horse, the ruminants, the pseudo-ruminants, also known as the camelids, and we have the pigs. Now it's 4 species. And then for period 2, which is the midterm, we have the cats, rabbits, and avians. Cats and rabbits are quite short. Avians will be longer, definitely, because it's not, although our focused animal is a chicken, but we're going to discuss the avian as a whole, birds as a whole. And then of course we have, for period 3, we have reptiles, and then we have the fish and miscellaneous species, which happens to be more on wildlife. Now we go to your laboratory. Unlike the VEM015, wherein the laboratory will support the lecture, the lab is totally different because the approach with the lab, we're going to do it by system. Unlike in the lecture in comparative anatomy, our sorry for the disturbance. Our approach is by species in the lecture, but in the lab we have by the, what you call this, by the system. So key points. So there you go. And if you answer dog on your quizzes, I will not accept that answer because the dog will serve as the point of comparison. And we already devoted 1 semester, and that's 5 months of learning the dog itself. And you also have a disclaimer here, not all species will be featured all the time. So there will be chickens and rabbits, and then there are certain chapters wherein the rabbits and chickens are missing. So again, please do not answer the dog on your quiz because the dog is the point of comparison. So if you answer dog, I will not accept that. So the preliminary, okay, I'll make a correction regarding this one. So the preliminary term for your period 1, preliminary term, we will have we have the bones. Okay, so this means you will be dealing with the axial skeletal system, which happens to be the skull, the mandible, the vertebrae, and the ribs, and the sternum. For the thoracic limb, that's exercise number 2, and we have pelvic limb. The muscles of the eye and hyoid apparatus and for mastication, we'll reserve that for period 2. Okay, so period 2, you have the muscles. So we have also the muscles of the forelegs, its insertion, origin, innervation, action. Exercise number 6, muscles of the hind legs, its insertion, origin, innervation, and action. Exercise number 7, on the other hand, will be part of period 3, which also has the digestive system, the urogenital system, and the brain. So those are the topics that we're going to cover for this block. So with this one, since unlike in the previous, since you guys are the first batch of students who will be taking up comparative anatomy for wherein the lab and the lec grade will be together. Because in the previous, in the old curriculum, it's everything is in, what you call this? Everything is in separate. So with this one, lab and lec is 50-50. 50% of your grade will be coming from the lecture, 50% of your grade will be coming from the lab. Now your lab grade, your grades for the lecture and the lab will be, okay, so for example, it's still the same. So 40% will be coming from the quizzes, and 60% will be coming from the long quiz. So I am planning, since based on your schedule, our lecture schedule is Mondays and Thursdays, and our lab hours is that's Monday and Thursdays, 1 o'clock to 5 p.m. Am I right? Or 1 o'clock to 4. And then, or 1 o'clock to 5. And then for lab, it's 1 o'clock, it's 8 to 11, and then 1 o'clock to 4. So that's the schedule. So for the lecture, we usually, again, start with a quiz from the previous topics. So right after this orientation, you're going to have your lab. You're going to have your first lecture. And your quiz is usually being given online via Google Forms. And you can also, Google Forms. And make sure you have a viable email so that I just send it through your email. So we schedule our quizzes at 1 o'clock for lecture. For the lab, I usually schedule my lab exams at 1 o'clock as well, lab quizzes at 1 o'clock as well. So that's the consensus. There will be times I'll be asking you to open your Google Meet so that I can see you guys while you're answering your quizzes. No more moving quiz, no more moving exams, no more moving exams for this one because it's more on comparative. Now for the type of quiz that you're going to have, it's either one-on-one for the lab. It's one-on-one or yeah, because just you guys are just, how many are you enrolled in this subject right now? I think in comparison to my anatomy, I think you guys can count fingers already. It's less than 20 so far. I don't know. I haven't checked my aims yet, but it's very important that you guys have that knowledge. Multiple choice, your quizzes or your exams are still multiple choice. So still multiple choice. But for the lab, there will be times I'm going to do the one-on-one, random one-on-one. So I hope you guys you have your modules, because for the lecture, that's where I'm mostly going to upload videos. For the lab, because lab is easier, because I made sure that I'm done with the module for the lab first before the lec, because I think the module for the lab is far more important. I think there's no need for us to discuss it. But however, if you do have any questions, we can answer that and through um, a, through group chat or through Facebook group. And right after this one, make sure you comment because I'm going to post this in our Facebook group. So you have to upload. So I make sure that you guys send your emails. I will be it's through your emails that I'm going to email your exams and quizzes. So if you do have any problems with that, let me know. Okay, so on to our first topic.